Hey guys, it's Danny. Today we are going to rejuvenate these orchids, which I think it's clear to see they're struggling a little bit. But I do believe they are fully recoverable. 99% sure. We're gonna see what we find in the pots. So I decided to take you along since I've been doing some shifting around, some moving around like I always do. So since I moved the orchids around, I did find these guys, which, you know, if I don't help them now, I don't see them well in the future. I don't see them at all in the future. So let's go ahead and do that. Before we start, don't forget to give this video a like if you end up enjoying it, and why not subscribe? I post multiple times a week and it's free. Well, as I said in my post, for the next month or so, things will be pretty hectic because I have some events going on in the following period, so upload will not be so consistent, but we're gonna return back to normal once I will become Mrs. So bear with me, hang on tight, we're gonna get back to normal schedule at some point. But if you're feeling extra about it, consider further supporting my channel by either using the affiliate links down below, becoming a member, checking out the merch, or using the super thanks option down below my videos. Righty then, let's start with finding my tray. I used it for an aquarium. Oh, it's there. As big as it is, this tray gets lost in the plant room. I don't know how it happens. And P.S., since many of you ask, this is an IKEA tray. Right, okay, we also need some gloves. And we're gonna start with the slipper because the slipper looks the worst. I mean, the other two I know exactly what's going on with them, but the slipper I need to check the root system. It's gonna be fun to see what I'm gonna pot it in, because I don't know either. We're just gonna wing it. It's gonna be a surprise for me as well. So this is Paphiopedilum appletonianum crossed with Thailandense. I think I had it in bloom at the beginning of the year. So with Paphiopedilum's growths, older growths do die off. They do become crispy like this, but not quite like this. They actually go dark, and they don't do so very fast. Plus, we also have a new growth here in the back, which is also crispy. Do we see? And if I pull on it, oh no, just like I suspected, there are no roots here. And if I look further inside, I'm gonna give you a close-up, I see cyanobacteria, a lot of it. So putting two and two together, I think what has happened here is cyanobacteria affected the roots and the roots died off, and this is the result of it. So yes, older growths on paths do die off, but this is not normal. Okay, so here we have some remaining leaves of an older growth that is depleted. Look at this. Do you see how dark this leaf is? This is how it should be. Everything else should be green, only a dark leaf there. This is the normal way. This is not normal at all. So, well, that didn't take long. There we have it. This is the tiny little Paphiopedilum growth. It is not a keiki. Paphiopedilums are sympodials and they do not produce keikis unless it's an anomaly. This is a standalone growth. Sadly, it doesn't have the support of an older growth, so it's gonna take a while until it matures, but it's okay. I salvaged it. So I'm just going to remove some dried material here. As for the potting medium, surprise, it's gonna be moss. Yes, Paphiopedilums and moss, maybe not the best. It is the best. In my environment, it is. So I'm gonna get some moss in a pot and I'll be right back. All right, so I will be using an opaque pot, and in this way, we will avoid cyano. I think I was a little underexposed. The video is a little dark. Hopefully it's better now. And as I was saying, I will be using just sphagnum moss. And yes, this will be a little bit more tricky to remove from the root system, but honestly not that tricky. There comes a point in your experience where you've seen a lot of things and repotted orchids that were very hard to repot, that moss doesn't seem so scary anymore. So I'm just gonna use my normal recipe, fluffy, fluffy, fluffy moss. We don't need to cover all of the air pockets. In moss, you can actually have pretty big air pockets, even with terrestrials, because it's just so wet and humid, it doesn't matter. Those roots will not dry out. Now for some slow release fertilizer. My gloves are wet, so... oh no, they all fell on one side. And of course, the top layer of bark to maintain the shade and not let algae form, or actually cyano. Cyanobacteria is not an algae. It can photosynthesize, but it's a bacteria, not a good one. And ta-da! Ooh, this guy was repotted exactly a year ago in October 21. The potting medium would have still been okay if it didn't have that bacteria. But anyway, he is all done now. Okay, that was easy. Next up, these ones are easy as well because I can see exactly what's going on. So this one, which again has been repotted almost exactly 1 year ago, the problem is not cyano, the problem is these growths have created roots on top of the medium and they did not have a chance to go down where the moisture is. Because apparently this dendrobium is a little bit more finicky when it comes to the root system. So, as I expected, the roots are dead. That's why I just pulled it up. I didn't squeeze on the pot and all of that stuff because I knew the older roots are already dead. On these types of dendrobiums, it happens. Look at that. They just come off on their own. So this orchid is super dehydrated because the older roots are gone and the new roots created by this new growth did not reach the moisture. And if you remember, we had a video in the past with a cattleya doing the very same thing and then getting rejuvenated by a simple repot. I'm gonna take this opportunity to repot this guy as well in moss. And I didn't tell you what this one is. This is the Dendrobium senile. Remember when I told you I think it has a bud? It was not a bud, it was a new growth. And it was here on one of the very tops of the pseudobulbs. And of course it got dried. This orchid does not like to dry out. So now I know. So again, the same deal. We are going to be using sphagnum moss at the bottom and then a top layer of bark. I have to tell you guys, my life has been so much better ever since I optimized my setup, but there's no drama. When I do my videos, I'm not gonna show you like, oh, you won't believe what this setup did. You know, everything is smooth sailing. And if there's something people like to watch on the internet, is drama. And I don't mean that in the bad way, but just entertaining little bits that are happening in our lives, right? If everything is smooth sailing, it's a little boring. That is my assessment of YouTube. So there is no drama like, oh, this medium did not work out. I need to switch setups, blah, 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 blah. No, none of that. Everything is going great. And yeah. I'm not stressed out, but I also have less content to film. And blooming orchids are not on the top of my most viewed videos. But anyway, at least I do have the time to maintain them. All right, so what I want to do is make sure that these roots, these tiny little roots, do touch the sphagnum moss. So even if I have to bury, quote unquote, the orchid a little bit more, I will do so. Right on top, we're gonna have the bark, and even if the bark covers a little bit the orchid, that's okay, because the bark is very breathable. And what we want is moisture to those roots. All right, I think this will be a lot better. And ta-da, we're done. Let's write the new date. Another orchid rejuvenated. This is going pretty fast, right? And the last one, now this one, I could let it be here, but it's just not optimal. I have some growths that I want to remove. This one is the Dendrobium lodigesi variegated. It's a beautiful orchid, and I have a really nice setup for it in mind. Actually, not setup, but a location. The detolf. The detolf looks wonderful right now. I'm gonna show you, I'm gonna give you some B-rolls at the end, and I think it will look good there. Now, this Dendrobium has the same issue. It creates keikis, and it's more of a climber, this one. I'm trying to grow it more pendant because I like it better, but naturally, he is a climber. The thing is, it produces keikis, a lot of them. Rather than produce new growth at the bottom, I do see that the lodigesi just rambles or has this wild tendency to branch, quote unquote. Where's my English this morning? Let's try that again. I do notice that the lodigesi has the tendency to create a lot of keikis up top and rather become bushy up top rather than the base. But I'm gonna try to grow it how I want. So this guy has a lot of keikis. This is a keiki actually, and the way to remove it is by twisting. There we go, easy peasy. And we're gonna pot this separately because again, this guy is depending on the mother stump, let's put it like that. And I don't know how many roots we still got in there. We also have some more keikis or base growths here. And I have a funny feeling we don't have, well, we have a few roots, but not too much. Okay, so yeah, this looks a little bit better, but I need to remove all of these dried bits. Oh, I forgot to sterilize. Anytime I move stuff around, I misplace my things. So I don't know where my torch is. So I'm just gonna sanitize it with some alcohol. Should be okay. So I wanna cut away these dried bits because they just attract molds. And by the way, just so you know, molds are good. They're a part of natural breaking down. And they're great. They're just not great in my living room. Not that I am in my living room now, but you get the idea. Not great in the house. I always get those comments, well, what do orchids do in nature? Well, they do many things. They can die, that's one thing. They can break down naturally with all the components there, from microorganisms to little insects, snails and stuff, to fungi and other things that come and break down the material. In our living rooms, we cannot expect the same things. I mean, do you really want to have a whole bunch of little cockroaches coming and munching on your dead leaves? No, I don't think so. So that's what orchids do in nature. They are part of the natural life cycle, and they don't always survive. Since this one has been potted pretty recently, I'm gonna reuse that moss that I have there. I'm not gonna be using the should I? I like the fact that this pot is tall. I'm very tempted to reuse this pot actually. Okay, I really like the fact that it's tall, so what I will do is just remove the top layer of bark. Good morning, Maya. Or Joey. By this song alone, I cannot tell which is which. I need to hear them laugh. The song is pretty identical for both of them. Oh, did I make a mixture? Oh no. Is it a mixture with bark? This is not good. It doesn't last and it doesn't smell good. Okay. Can definitely reuse the moss, but not the bark. Yeah, here I had a mixture of bark and moss. Why did I do that? I should have just left the moss. You know what? This pot would be better for a Hoya, a tiny Hoya, right? Right. I'm gonna use it for a Hoya. But I will reuse the moss because it is actually pretty good. And wherever I can reuse, I'll reuse. And you know me, I'm not a big advocate for reusing potting materials, but it's perfectly good moss. This moss is very good quality. And I don't come by it very often, so I'm just gonna reuse it. If you're in the same situation and you wanna use brand new moss, totally fine, totally understandable. I know very well that this guy won't last as much as brand new moss, right? Because it's already a few months old. But I potted this guy in April. It's just a few months. I'm not gonna throw away the moss after a few months. The bark though, it's kinda done. This little cakey right now, I'm gonna remove this one too and put it in the medium, even though it's so tiny, because I know the roots will just not reach the medium and they will just dry out. That's the problem with the Lodegesi, and I'm not gonna be misting those roots. I'm not about that life. So if I create a good base, I should be good. Right, that's about enough. Oh, that little cakey is all buried. I'm gonna pull him out, don't worry. Ta-da, okay, we're done. I'm gonna find a decorative pot for him and I'm gonna show you the details because I rearranged some stuff. Hold on. Okay, so these are the shelves, and I decided that here, you know what, I'm gonna be putting my Hoyas, and I'm not gonna crowd them too much. They're a little crowded at the moment as well. I'm still gonna rearrange a few things, but look how pretty they look. I think these types of plants that are a little bit pending but not too big, I think they look great here. Here, no, I'm gonna move those Phalaenopsis somewhere else. The Tolumnias, I don't know, they look good here as well, but it's not very decorative, right? Anyway, but I really like this part, like that Hoya there, and that Hoya there, and the other Dendrobium Lodegesi there. Is it Lodegesi? No, it's the Aphyllum. It's the Aphyllum variegated. It has a very, very subtle variegation, do you see? And yeah, I really like how some of these bits look like. It's a work in progress. But anyway, that is about it for today. Thank you so much for joining me. Hope you learned something new. With any repotting, in any case, there is always something to be learned. And yeah, you cannot have the experience of everybody. So I hope that these videos that show you my experience with some stuff, and particularly not the good stuff, I hope it's the most educational. So thank you so much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed this. Check out my second channel if you want to learn a thing or two about aquariums. The light is just coming on. It's not fully brightness just yet, but look how pretty it looks. They are doing great. I really like them. So check out my second channel for aquarium stuff. But for orchid stuff, subscribe to this channel. And with that said, I'll see y'all next time. Bye!